I'm very excited about our next guest, David Tauber. He's a financial advisor in Connecticut. Now, David, you've had an incredible career. You're Navy, I'm former Army. How did you get to where you're at?
It's an interesting question, Tom. I actually played football in college. I always thought I was going to go pro. You know, from when I was in high school, little kid, I'm going to be a pro football player. And that didn't work out. And got inspired to join the Navy during the first Gulf War. And became a nuclear engineer on a submarine. And I was on a fast attack submarine. There was very limited crew, so we had about 120 guys. Everybody had an ancillary duty. And long story short, I was a Navy diver, a scuba diver. Used to do security dives around the sub before we leave port. I was a public affairs officer. I was obviously a nuclear reactor operator, but they asked, is anybody would be interested in being a financial affairs advocate, which is basically, you know, some of the younger crew members talking about opening checkbooks and maybe getting a mortgage or investments. And I raised my hand and said, yeah, I'd like to do that. And I'd done some investing in college, you know, read Forbes magazine, Barron's, like everybody else, and met with younger kids, talked about different investments, talked about financial planning. Not that I was an expert, but I just got a rush from these kids listening to me, and I was able to help. And it was downhill after that. I had family that was in the business, and when I got out, they helped me get into the business, and been a financial advisor ever since.
You know, we're very similar in that way, because I went into the financial services industry right after the military, and I was helping soldiers kind of just like you were helping the Navy guys. So now you've got a very diverse background, the scuba diving, the nuclear reactor. How has that kind of shaped the way that you can talk with your clients and help your clients?
So it's really, I draw from the military background, the football, you know, being coached or being taught. And, you know, that's what when I meet with new clients and I'm doing my discovery sessions, there's a lot of teaching. You know, there's a lot of going off on tangents and talking about different, you know, tax laws or different products. And, but that's, if I look at my 30-year career, it's basically I'm acting like a coach or a financial teacher. And that's, I feel that it gains my clients' trust over time, where I'm not just there to, like, you know, provide them or sell them something. It's really about teaching them so that they're more informed investors or plan, you know, they have a better aptitude to plan, you know, when they leave me. And then
yeah, well, I can see that coaching has been a big part of your whole background, and coaching with clients. What are the kind of the primary points that you try to stick with when you're talking with your clients?
I would say, you know, basically going through, again, the discovery process, or even after that, is take advantage of whatever avenues for investing are out there. So the Roth IRA, the 401k match, if you're in 403Bs, if you have the ability to do tax deferral, if you're at a nonprofit, at a hospital or school district, you know, just take advantage of what programs are out there, what tax laws are out there, and pay yourself first. And that's you refer to that in one of your books that I've read, that and that's, you know, for every financial advisor, that's something they try and tell their clients is, you know, don't go spend on the fastest, biggest new car or the, you know, most expensive watch or whatever. Pay yourself first, and take advantage of some of the programs that are out there.
And that's what this whole Who Wants to Be a Millionaire series is all about. It's just trying to help young people, you know, take advantage of the things that are out there, and then instead of trying to look wealthy, actually focus on becoming wealthy. And I know you do that. Now, you really focus on the Roth IRAs. Kind of tell me why that's a key focus for you.
So I'll give you some background on that. Is I came into the business after the Navy in 1996, and, you know, like any other planner or agent at the time, you're talking about life insurance and annuities, mutual funds. In 1998, the Roth IRA was introduced by Senator Roth of Delaware, and that went into being in 1998. And I said, this is it. This is so smart. Everybody should be doing this, because it just made sense that the money's going to grow tax-free at age, whatever it was back then, 70 and a half. You have to take money out of your IRA, a Roth IRA you didn't. And also the biggest term, and I really, talking about your series, I want to stress to people with the Roth IRAs, it's liquid. You know, it's not like an IRA where there's a penalty to take it out after 5. Your principal is allowed to be pulled out. Your gains have to stay out there until you're 59 and a half, but your principal is accessible. So that's one of the key terms. But I feel that if it's the golden egg of investing, you know, what other investment, and it's not an actual investment, it's a tax code, but what other investment through a tax code can you invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, anything with tax-free growth?
And that would be tax-free income to you, and when you die, it goes tax-free to your heirs. I mean, it's an incredible. It really is. And you know, you're a CHFC, so you can do financial planning. You take a very comprehensive approach. It's not like you're trying to push one thing or another. You want to see what the situation is. Where's the problems? What can you do to fix their situation? So, kind of talk to me about your comprehensive, you know, financial planning.
Going back, you know, 10 years and some of the pieces I've done in magazines, I've always referred to it as your financial puzzle. You know, so when people, they come to me, they're either referred to me or they see me online, and it's like a big puzzle, and they're bringing all the pieces to me, and we try and put the puzzle together, see what pieces are missing, how we can fill in to make things, you know, smart for them, or to make things look like they should going through retirement.
When I work with people in agriculture, farmers and ranchers, I always ask them, would you rather pay tax on the seed or the harvest? Right. And every single one of them says pay tax on the seed. And that's what the Roth IRA is, because you don't get a deduction for putting it in, but it grows tax deferred and you get it back tax free. With the IRA or 401k, you get a deduction going in, but you got to pay tax on all the growth coming out. And the thing I don't think most people realize is that with our country being, you know, 34 trillion in debt, climbing every day, and Social Security and Medicaid having issues, and we have $211 trillion of unfunded obligations, taxes are going to have to go up. And it's not a political thing. It's not Democrat, Republican. It's a math problem. And so I think what you're doing is exactly right. You're getting people as much tax-free income in retirement as possible. Now, you don't just use traditional investments. You use insurance products. You're not afraid to use annuities. Kind of tell me some of the other products that you use and why you like them.
Along those lines, whether it's in an IRA or a Roth or just after-tax money, non-qualified retirement, annuities have, for the longest time, have had been likened to a bad, you know, it's like a used car salesman. Not that used car salesmen are, you know, you love used cars.
Right. That's what makes it
but there's a stigma, and you know, you see commercials from some of the big wealth managers how, you know, we don't do that, we don't do that. Well, why not? You know, why wouldn't you provide your clients an opportunity to have a product with guarantees or some type of protection that they can't get in your traditional mutual funds, ETF, stocks account? So I've used them more and more in my practice. I'm really, I've been enlightened by a lot of the newer products that have come out. For years, some of the investment banks have used structured notes, and they've been repackaged. And there's first couple companies, and now almost every insurance company has what's called a registered index-linked annuity, RILA for short, as a lot of advisors use it. And what's great about these, there's no management fees for most of them. Some have variable sub-accounts linked to them, but the big thing is they're linked to the stock market through an index, whether it be the NASDAQ, the Russell 2000, the S&P 500. And using option contracts, they'll give you some upside benefits of the market, but also give you some downside protection. So unlike some other products where there's no chance of downside loss, but they cap your upside, these products, for no implied fee, mind you, there's for a lot of these, there's no fee added. If the S&P 500 is here, 1 year and 5 years later it's here, you're getting those returns. And sometimes the term that I'm really excited about now is what's called a participation rate. Mm-hmm. So some of these products will have and just off the top of my head, what's out there now, these numbers are going to change based on interest rates and volatility of the markets. But right now, some of the participation rates of 125 or 150% of what the S&P 500. So without guaranteeing, we can't guarantee anything, but I could say if the S&P 500 is up 50% after 6 years, but you have a 50% participation rate on top of that, meaning 150% of whatever it does, 50% is now 75% return with some downside protection. So a lot of these products will have a death benefit tied to them at no cost. So I'm really, looking past just your traditional investments and educating clients on this as almost using it as like a hedging strategy.
And that's why I think it's so important for people to work with a financial advisor, because there's so many different products out there. It's the variable annuities that typically got the bad rap because the fees were high, and they were higher because you're guaranteeing against some loss in the stock market. But these registered index-linked annuities, they don't have the fees that the variable has. They have 100%, or as you said, 125, maybe even more % of the upside, and then they limit the downside, whether it's a 10% or 20%. You can do buffers and all these different things, but I don't think the average person can go out there and just figure it out by themselves, and that's why I think it's so important to work with somebody like you. The other thing I would say is that BlackRock, who sells no annuities whatsoever, they've come out with research that shows that if you have some guarantees, your portfolio can actually do better because you can take a little more risk with some of your other money. Ernst & Young, they don't sell any annuities, and they said the optimal retirement portfolio is 30% cash value life insurance, 30% annuities, and 40% investments. So these are not like annuity salespeople or people who get compensated for annuities, but the research is clear. And then when you study the PhDs, what they say, it's nearly unanimous that guaranteed lifetime income should form a foundational part of a retirement. So David, you use RILAs, you use some of these other, what are some of the other products that you use, and why would you use those versus other products?
One of the other products, and a lot has to do with your book, Paychecks and Playchecks, and I referenced it, but fixed index annuity products will have some type of guarantee, and right now they're very strong given the interest rate environment. But the way they work is they'll guarantee what's called an income account value. So it's not really how the underlying account value, like if you passed away or if you want to draw your money out, but there's a guaranteed income that's provided for either a single or joint life, kind of like a pension, where right now most companies aren't providing pensions for the average employee. So it's almost like you got to do it yourself. And some of these products allow you to do that. And they've resonated with clients when I show them as like a base. When we talk about, okay, we can, look at these RILAs or, have a managed portfolio of stocks and bonds and mutual funds, but it really resonates as a foundation to have some type of guaranteed income for life to accompany Social Security, and if you're lucky enough to still have a pension. So,
yeah. And I don't think people realize that an annuity can give you the highest guaranteed paycheck of any product that's out there. There's no other product that can give you a higher paycheck guaranteed for the rest of your life than an annuity. And what the research shows is you're likely to be happier in retirement if you have some guaranteed lifetime income, because the income gives you the license to spend your money. And that's how you enjoy retirement. You go out for dinner, you have a bottle of wine with your friends, you go on a trip or a cruise, and people who have assets are just scared because they don't know, is the market going to crash? What if I need long-term care? What if this happens? And they live this just-in-case retirement, and the annuity allows them to live a happier retirement, and now the research shows they're likely to live longer as well. And it doesn't mean that if you buy an annuity, you're for sure going to live longer. What it means is 1,000 people who buy annuities are going to live longer than 1,000 people who don't have them, and that's the research is so clear on that. Now, let's talk young people for just a minute, because both of us, we work with retirees a lot, but give us some tips on things that you tell young people on they have time on their side, and sure. You said pay yourself first. What are some other things that you tell young people on how to build wealth?
Well, it basically gets back to what I said in the first place. Take advantage of what's offered to you, or even not. If you're a 21-year-old kid who's still in college, you're eligible to put the Roth. Take advantage of it. Throw as much as you can into the Roth. Every year they've increased the limits for inflation, and that's the first place. So if you can take advantage of that, save, you have access. A lot of people scared, I put money into an IRA, it's locked up. No, you have access to it. So that'd be the first thing, but also the power of compounding. If you could really, hit home with a younger investor, and I'll be honest, I'm not marketing to younger investors, but I get a lot of referrals from some of my older clients, whether it's their grandchildren or, sadly, a lot of clients are passing away. I have an older book, and I'm meeting with their beneficiaries, whether it be nieces, nephews, grandchildren, and it's educating from the jump. You're
And they need help because nobody's been teaching the young people
No.
how to build wealth.
correct.
And they think building wealth means driving a fancy sports car and looking rich. And I always tell people to stop trying to look rich and focus on becoming wealthy. And, that's what we're trying to help these
It's
people
funny,
do.
I just get interjected. I say that to everybody. Is it better to look rich or to actually be rich or be comfortable?
Yeah.
And that's that hits home with a lot of people. And but getting back to younger investors, they have time on their side.
Right.
They have the power of compounding. The rule of 72. You put money in, and it will double every so many years based on what the markets are doing.
If you're getting 10% on an investment, your money doubles every 7.2 years. And what I would say to a client, let's say I was sitting down with them, and I'm not a financial advisor anymore, but I was at the time. I would say, okay, you got 50,000. Well, that means it's going to go to 100,000, to 200,000, to 400,000, 800,000, to 1.6 million, 3.2. And I would say that, and then all of a sudden they could see that it could happen, and I think what you were saying is so important, that it's the habit of saving that's more important than what investment. I said, you can put it in a passbook savings account for all I care. Just get in the habit of saving. And then when you have some money, then you can talk about diversification, asset allocation, and being, diversified in numerous asset classes. Now, you've said, that these annuities are not your grandfather's annuities. These are power-packed investment vehicles now. I mean, some of these things are really incredible.
They really are. They really are. They getting back to the registered index linked annuity. It was unheard of to have market participation or market like returns and not be paying anywhere from 2.5% to 3% in underlying fees for some type of guaranteed rider or just mortality expense fees. And the fact that the companies are able to carve those out, using these option contracts. What hits home with this is they think this too could be true. How can I get this upside participation and downside protection for no fee? And what I say, well, it's not too good to be true. It's too good to be liquid. So the way the insurance companies are able to do this is buying option contracts over a longer period of time. So
we're talking 5, 6, 7 years. We're not talking 100 years. We're talking.
So most contracts now are issued for 6 years. There are some that have liquidity clauses, but most are 6 years, and they're buying option contracts based on 6 years, and that's where you're going to get your most upside performance.
And people think that that's a negative, and I look at it as a positive, because if you had a box, that lockbox, and you just put money in there, you could never take it out. You could, and then this other box, you could put it in, take out as much as you wanted. After 50 years, which one would have the most money? The box that's locked, because most people are their own worst enemies when it comes to saving and investing. They save and save, and oh, we want to go on that trip. Oh, we want to buy that car. And they end up sabotaging some of their own savings and investing. Now, we talked a little bit about some of these people out there who say that this product is bad or that product is bad. I personally think it'd be like a plumber saying, I'm never going to use a wrench. I'll use a hammer, I'll use a screwdriver. I'm not going to, it'd be crazy. Or somebody who builds houses, they're not going to use a hammer. They don't believe in nails. I mean, it'd be dumb. You want to have all the tools in the toolbox. But what would you say to some of these people who are saying, oh, the fees are too high or something? Most annuities don't even have fees. So how do you handle some of these objections?
Well, I focus on what are they providing? So given if I'm not going to throw someone in an annuity that's rolling over money from a 401k, it's money that's already tax deferred. So it has to provide some type of benefit. Like if you're going to be locked up, there's got to be a reason you're locked up for a certain amount of time, whether it be a guaranteed income stream or some type of death benefit or some type of participation or a buffer or floor on your losses. I get around some of these fees or some of these products because it has to provide something. So to your point, some of these other providers of investments you see on TV, we don't have those, we don't provide that, or we, these high commission products. We don't have that. Well, if you're a true fiduciary and you're trying to do what's in your client's best interest, why not? If that's what the situation calls for, them being able to sleep well at night, knowing that the market might go down 20%, why wouldn't you provide something that has some type of protection if it allows them to be in the market where they otherwise wouldn't be?
I don't sell any annuities. I own 13 of them, all right? And I haven't found anything better for myself and my family. See, I've lost money in the past, and I've just decided, I think when I was 50, I decided I don't want to lose money anymore. I want to make as much as I can make, but I don't want to lose what I've already got. And that's what they do for me and for my family. So now, David, life insurance has been kind of a theme through these Millionaire series. A lot of my guests have talked about life insurance. Tell me some of the ways you're using life insurance in your practice.
So kind of like annuities, there's a taboo around life insurance, but if people understood the tax rules that are involved with life insurance, they know that this is a powerful product that can create not only the help for a loved one, if you pass away, but also the fact that it creates tax deferred growth that could actually be drawn out in a tax-free manner in cash value life insurance. But at the same time, when I started out, what they kind of beat in our head with life insurance was, if you want to have a large estate, you have to protect something, and life insurance provides an estate for you, at your death immediately. So you can be a 25-year-old kid with a $500,000 or $1 million policy, and something happens to you, now you have $1 million estate. So it's key to any financial planning, protection. So we talked a lot about, growing your wealth, but also, protecting it. And, the third item might be distribution, but for someone who's just getting out, you think about it, if you're a 28 or 30-year-old young couple with a kid on the way and you just bought a house, why not have life insurance to protect all that? If one of you, most couples now are young professionals or are both working, what happens if one of the couples dies?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in life insurance. I've been moving more of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance because it's another switch I can flip on and have tax-free income coming in. But there's a lot of people out there have been convinced this buy term and invest the difference. And just to be fair, when I was in the military, I believed in buy term and invest the difference. And then I was shown a cash value life insurance policy that you only had to pay for a limited number of years. It was a short-term pay, but long-term coverage. And I go, why would anybody buy term if you can buy this? And it made so much more sense to me than a term policy. Another thing that people don't realize is term pays a death claim less than 2% of the time. And so, there's a financial guru out there who says, well, you won't need life insurance when you're older. When the kids are gone, just get rid of it. That's why you buy term insurance. And I say, well, who buys the biggest life insurance policies? Old rich people. So if you didn't need life insurance after the kids go, why would old rich people buy the biggest policy? So I think there's been a lot of people been kind of sold a bad bill of goods on this buy term and invest the difference.
Sure.
Now, speaking of estate, the life insurance can create an estate just like that. You work with a lot of beneficiaries. You work with children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews. Are you seeing some themes among the beneficiaries of what are you seeing?
So I work with, even before some of my older clients, I make it a point to talk to the beneficiaries, just to let them know who I am, through my client. Reach out to your daughter or your son, let them know who I am if they want to come in or give me a phone call. But some of the reasons are when I have a large IRA or even large non-qualified annuity, or any other type of, there are tax benefits to having a named individual that at death, that money can be passed on without creating a taxable event. Now, if you were, a beneficiary and you just go, my grandmother died and she left me this IRA, you're going to know, okay, well, where's the claim form? Well, they don't know that there might be a $100,000 tax bill, or a tax bill on $100,000 at the end of the year, because they took their grandmother's IRA out when they could have stretched it out over 10 years. So again, working with an advisor, it would help you understand some of those. And just, when you're making big decisions like that, it would always make sense to talk to someone who knows the law and knows the rules.
You know, and most people don't even have a will. And the nice thing about insurance products, annuities and life insurance, is it goes based on the contract. So you don't even need a will. It skips probate. It goes direct. The beneficiary is paid directly. And you're exactly right. There are right ways to do it and there are wrong ways to do it. And that's why I think before you make a claim on a beneficiary thing, talk to a financial advisor. There may be a way to get that done with no taxes or less taxes than if you just go out and take it out in a lump sum. Same with spouses, because spouses have special privileges that they can sometimes take over a contract. They can sometimes then name their own beneficiaries to the contract. And that's why I think what you do is so important. Now, somebody watching today, what do you want them to get from our conversation?
If it is a young investor or any investor, do something, have a plan. Find an advisor.
And work with a financial professional.
That's I was going to say.
Important.
Find an advisor. Whether it's, ask your friends, ask your parents. I see a lot of advisors, at a certain point, they stop taking new clients. But they'll always make that exception if they have an existing relationship with a family member. And find somebody and help them set a plan for you. And, no plan is guaranteed for life. But if you have something, you work off of it, you make changes to it, but you have something that you can base your savings off of. So,
when I came in the business 30 years ago and you came in, they said, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And that happened 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. It's happening today.
Sure.
It's so important to have a plan. That's really, and in my book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, that's step number one. You got to have a plan.
Sure. And to that point, I don't know if you've read that, where younger clients or younger 20, 30-year-olds, when they're, what's the word I'm looking for? 20 or 30-year-olds now don't think they'll outperform their parents or won't have the same lifestyle as their parents. And that's the first time, supposedly in American history, where a younger generation won't outperform or do better than their parents. And I don't really agree with that. I don't feel that might be, there's always obstacles in the way, but if you have a plan and you stick to it and you're smart, there's no reason that you can't be successful financially in any kind of environment.
See, I agree with you, because people always say, oh, my kids will never do as good as me. I've told my kids they're going to do way better than me. Because, see, when we were growing up, everybody knew you need to get out there, go to work early, stay late, always do more than what you're paid to do. You got to give it everything you got. And nowadays, there's quiet quitting. There's people who just sit on their phones. And if I've trained my kids on how to go the extra mile, because there's no traffic on that extra mile. And when you do that, now they stand out way more than what we stood out, because the majority of people aren't doing that. So if you can be one of those hard chargers, you're going to get promoted faster, paid more than the people who come to work late, try to leave early, and do it as little as possible. Well, David, this has been great. Now, I know there's some people out there, they say, hey, I want that guy as my advisor. So if somebody wants you as their advisor, what can they do?
So just look, I'm licensed in most states. I'm a licensed registered rep who is able to provide investment products, and I'm licensed for insurance products also in most states. Look me up, tauberassetmanagement.com. I'm in Central Connecticut, but again, I work with clients all over the country, and that's probably the easiest way to find.
Tauberassetmanagement.com.
Correct.
Hey, we've been with David Tauber today. What a great interview. Thank you so much for joining me today, David.
Thanks a lot, Tom, for having me.